1. Round 1. Capture the objective.
The barrier.
The objective is
Check this out.
Apologies for that, ladies and gentlemen. Trying to get our mics sorted out, but we are back. Mitch Leslie and Matt Morello here. We're already in to our first round on Nepal. Australia get off to a good start in that first fight. Denmark, after a successful campaign earlier on today, looking to try and knock them out. Meteor strike from CKM finds 0 purchase, and he falls to the Coalescence Scalar.
Yeah, it'll be a fight win here for Denmark, and we have seen Australia on our stream. We have not seen Denmark, so we can talk a little bit about some of the players you may recognize on Team Denmark as Shax and Fisher, 2 names that I think a lot of players, people would know out there, and then Kellex as well, the support player for the Boston Uprising. I believe he may be a Overwatch League free agent at this point, so we'll find out what he decides to do next season, but it'll be Denmark who's in control of the point now.
I mean, and obviously, you know, Henningsen, we've seen him represent HSL Esports this year. It's nice to see Denmark have like their dedicated main tank player, and he gave a good account of himself here. Denmark are in control of the point, but that was the sound barrier coming out there from Unter, and they trade. Fisher goes down, E2 up is able to find him, but Molt is causing some issues now. Push forward that accretion, and Shax gets a 4K on the Death Blossom. By the way, first player in the Overwatch League to get a 6K. Yeah. Shax did that with the Valiant. 6 kills in the Death Blossom, if I'm not mistaken.
And I do believe the strength of Denmark, where they're going to succeed, is in their damage dealer. Shax and Fisher is a really good damage dealer combo, so it'll be fun to see IHU up and CKM go against it, where they didn't really struggle in the damage dealer matchup, but New Zealand played them pretty tough.
Well, no, I think they did. They struggled definitely in that head-to-head. This one might be even harder for them.
Oh, I think without question it will.
Sound barrier now. Scalar again finds another kill with that Coalescence early. Punk was not able to find the accretion hit, and Shax just skirts around it. Rough stuff for Australia here as Denmark go from strength to strength in this round.
And outside of the first fight, which we didn't see, we were outside grabbing a tea. It's been all Denmark. It has been all Denmark from that point on. Which is actually unfortunate. We got the tea, and then Mitch spilled it all over his desk. Australia will come
Who has
in.
a white tablecloth?
Australia will come in. They'll have a Death Blossom, probably a Meteor Strike during this fight. CKM may need to go in deep to get it, and then have to use it to get away. Oh, they lose under there.
They catch him out there. That was a great hold to set that one up there. But after the fact, Molfit and Fisher are down. Ichirup's playing from a very safe off angle here, and even without CKM in the mix, Ichirup does have a Death Blossom.
He wants to save it, ideally.
I mean, you want to save everything you can if you're Australia, but they've lost tongue there.
And he
Punt
dies
standing on the point.
I mean, he dies just as he uses Coalescence, so you don't have the Coalescence for the next fight, where he probably didn't even need it to put that previous fight away. Now you come in, you will have a Gravitic Flux, Death Blossom, Meteor Strike here for Denmark, and you're at 99%. It is 1 fight territory. Scalar also getting close to a Coalescence of his own, so really good start here for Denmark.
Molf to the high ground, attempts an accretion at CKM, but I think the Gravitic Flux will do just fine. No sound barrier for Unter, and Fisher's able to seismic slam CKM back to spawn. This is the Death Blossom now, and Ichirub held onto it, but he gets absolutely nothing for it. Coalescence was active in this fight, and Denmark look like they're in a great spot to take the round away now. Just Unter left, he can't even get to the point. And the fade from Tongue, he actually fades back towards spawn and not to stall. So that'll be round 1 for Denmark.
Incredibly clean round from Denmark as well. I feel like in the New Zealand-Austria game and then Australia-New Zealand, there was like a I don't want to say a lack of being able to coordinate certain things that we normally see at the Overwatch League level, but I feel like from Denmark there, you saw a bit of that, right? One thing specifically, Gravitic Flux Seismic Slam. Don't burn the Meteor Strike on it. You're able to get a pick off of it. I mean, these are not, I don't want to make it sound like these are extremely overcomplicated things to pull off, but we just haven't seen them today in our bracket. So to see Denmark do it early, that's a good sign.
And if you can achieve those, it's a huge weight off your shoulders in terms of ultimate economy. The cheaper you can win a fight, the better off you're going to be. Another pause here now in this first map.
And if you think we know why it's paused, we don't. The players are playing in another room. All we have in here is a lot of commentators. And you can see Denmark, they get that 3-1 win earlier in the day. That is the only match they played. Australia, if you've been with us, they played one game as well. It was against New Zealand. It goes to game 5.
And this roster, I mean, there's even power on the bench. I mean, Naga returns with this particular team. We didn't get really a chance to talk about Molf that much, but you know, for those of you that have been following along with the European contenders, you would know him from Shoes Money Crew, British Hurricane as well. Consistency was something that, you know, like when I listened to the European casters, that's something they talked him up about a heck of a lot. You know, and even though the HSL as a team didn't really achieve the success that they wanted to at the Gauntlet, I mean, this is a great chance for a lot of those players to come back together and put those results up under the watchful eye of Kellex at the helm.
Yeah. So we are just waiting for an answer about what's going on with this match, as we did play one round and then it's paused. I can give you an update on some of the other things going on here. Actually, the only thing I can probably give you an update on is what Bren and Josh are doing. They are doing Italy, Japan. So that is on the Play Overwatch channel. Italy is up 1-0. The Italians showing up here at the Overwatch World Cup, which have we ever had the Italians make it to a BlizzCon? Maybe the first year. Maybe, but I don't believe any of the last two.
I think we actually cast them in 2017 in Poland. I believe they were there because I remember Carnifex.
I think you might be right.
Bro, we're rolling back the years now. This is a fourth World Cup, man.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
I
yeah,
mean,
no, and now they've got players like Dragon Eddie, like a few of the players from the Samsung Morning Stars team as well, which is, you know, quite an ambitious project. And so they definitely have talent on their roster.
We're old in terms of Overwatch. I mean, I look around the room and like the only three that have been here from the first World Cup to now is me, you, and ZP, Big Dog ZP. Everybody else, I mean, new faces every year, rotating them in. It's cool to see.
That's right. I mean, that's World Cup is not only a great opportunity for players from, you know, maybe less highlighted regions to show, but also for the casting talent.
Get everybody some love, right?
Yeah, it's good to work with a lot of these crew as well, as we've appreciated their work.
Yeah, everybody outside of the people to my right.
Yeah, no, like the Brennan side.
That's the Play Overwatch channel.
I don't even know how they got in here, to be honest.
Those people, I mean, yeah, we must have been looking for anybody at that point. You know, consider those guys. But.
That's right.
No, they're actually doing a great job. I was a little bit worried. I was like, oh, Brent, Josh, Caston. I was like, how's this going to go? But they're super into it.
Don't you remember the California Cup?
Yeah, they were.
They haven't built a Church of Krusty from scratch.
They were here late last night. They were testing audio. They were doing practice casts. The two guys that actually really want it. So cool to see them get the opportunity, just like all the other talent here at the World Cup. Denmark, Australia, though. Big rivalry here between these two.
Would you say it's an El Clasico?
You know, we haven't had an El Clasico in a bit.
It's been a little while. Yep.
You know, this is going in the right direction of an El Clasico. But one round of Nepal, and then we're in a pause. So we'll try and get confirmation on if the game is restarting from that state. What went on. We don't have that info.
No, we don't.
But
so
I'm going to attempt to get it by sitting here and looking around.
Okay.
And see if I can get somebody's attention to potentially acquire the information necessary to deliver it to you, the viewers, at home.
Yeah,
which is the job of a broadcaster. So I am doing my job.
All right. But I think in the meantime, while we do wait for that, we're going to sit here and we're just going to go off mics here, so don't hear me complaining about water coolers or lack thereof. And when the teams are ready, we will be too. So sit tight, take 5. We'll see you in a moment.
1. Round 2. Capture the objective.
And we are back.
Aha!
As the players have returned.
We figured it out.
So I'd tell you whether the issue was resolved, but we actually don't know what the issue was.
I assume it was. So.
That's the safe assumption here. We're going to be headed straight into Village now as the poll continues. Denmark want to fight on the point here, man.
Yep.
They want Australia to walk headlong into this endothermic blaster.
You bring the May in to make it way more brawly, but CKM just delivers an absolute knockout punch there, right to the mouth of Fisher.
You have to do that. If you get anyone else, you know, maybe you find a kill if you get someone else with that one, but May's probably going to freeze you up. So CKM finds the perfect target and opens the fight up and takes Denmark's advantage away. now Matt, he can just run circles around them. He can go from one opening to the other and just find. It's very easy to get those rocket punch kills inside this area, based on this geometry. So,
but you don't
once you get rid of the May, they're good.
If you don't get the first pick, getting the May is the most crucial part, right? Getting rid of May, you're able to go in there, make a play, just start to come from off angles. So CKM, the big player here for Australia, to open things up on this point on Nepal, and Scalar was actually using his coalescence during that, so don't have that Moira ultimate anymore.
Good early damage on the Sigma there. CKM was able to force him out of position, but because he didn't find that first pick, Fisher's still around. He's still looking for the counter punch, and he gets it. However, for Denmark, that's just not going to be enough. Punk's having a much better game here on that Sigma. This round looking a lot better for Australia. CKM definitely a part of that in that first fight.
Well, Australia did have point control early on in our first point, and then once they got a flip, Denmark was able to hold from there on out. So I think Denmark, you probably don't push high ground again. You probably want to take a different angle. So Kellex with the speed boost, so probably go a little bit lower to high here.
Holt gets thrown in. That's already an Orisa shield down. Interrupt not really in position here to make the most of that death loss of it all. He's able to help finish off Molf, but again, one of the DPSs on Australia goes in, sort of gets picked off, and still the rest of them are able to find kills. That's the second fight in a row where they've had a DPS feed early and still get out of the win.
Denmark, you traded your Bongo, your Supercharger, for Supercharger and Death Blossom. So you traded 1 for 2, not bad. You can come back in this next fight. You can have both your support ults to deal with this Gravitic Flux. There's a sound barrier from Kellex.
Only a couple players caught on that one though. CKM was able to get rid of Kellex as he came on through. It's traded out though. Molf catches him with a Hypersphere as he tries to take to the sky. Molf has to be careful. Etrop was able to avoid getting accreted there. Actually, that's the correct word. He's able to back around the corner. Another accretion. This time it comes the way of Punk and it does hit Molf. But Hunter's out of the picture and CKM is not in position. Australia want to save ultimates here if they can, or build up their next wave of them. They're not winning this fight.
Really interesting use of Gravitic Flux there by Molf. So what he does is he actually, as soon as CKM dives in, he turns and catches him in the Flux when he's going to dive the backline, and he eliminates him before Hunter can get the sound barrier off and apply the shields to CKM. So you just traded 1 for 1, Doomfist for Doomfist, but they burned the sound barrier and didn't really keep that high priority target on their team alive.
This is a fight where Australia gets a lot of their key ultimates online sort of midway through or early on. They just have to try and not get picked early. Meteor Strike used here by Fisher. The Holt combo, it's perfect! Fisher drops in for 3 and then gets a finish on the exit. Again, talking about examples of cheap fight wins, that's definitely one of them.
It is another example of Denmark doing something we have not seen the other teams in this A bracket able to do. Like with, I don't want to say with relative ease, but with a consistency, I think it would be. The halts are very good from Henningsen, and then Fisher lands, you know, that time it's a Meteor Strike, the time before a Seismic Slam.
Accretion from Punk. No collection there. He's a little bit low. The coalescence means he can't even run away behind his own shield. CKM was able to find Scalar, and I mean, he got the Supercharger as well, but this is by no means over. Australia bringing some of those ultimates online now, but Denmark can build theirs up. They've got a couple cheap fight wins under their belt. That one was Coalescence and Supercharger. All they really need to worry about here probably is the Gravitic Flux. That's going to be a bit scary now without Kellex having a sound barrier online. Shax can always turn a fight around though.
Well, I mean, Molvik's going to get his, and there's no sound barrier or coalescence for the other team as well.
Molf goes for it. Only Punk caught on that one now. It's going to be the death loss to come in from Shax. He gets himself 3. That was the answer. Trill eventually gets rid of him, but CKM and Aichu Up are already off the table, and there's no damage dealers left for Australia. They have got all the staying power, all the healing that they need, Denmark, to push them off. Tongue and Unton now getting removed. That was Australia's last real hope, and with overtime ticking down, there was no touch for Punk there on the wrecking ball, and Denmark's going to take map number 1 in overall pretty convincing fashion, Matt.
I am pretty impressed with Denmark. Obviously just one map, but man, what a win there for Denmark. A 2-0 over Australia on Nepal. It looked very clean with their teamwork. I think Australia, I thought they started to come alive towards the end of the previous series against New Zealand, but to lose map number 1 like that, it's got to be pretty deflating because Denmark's been sitting around doing nothing.
Yeah,
I mean,
they spent all day after their first
They have been
match.
chilling the whole day. The first match they had of the day was the one that Jaws and Lightday did really early
Against Chinese Taipei.
Yeah, and that was Jaws and Lightday first game of the day. I haven't seen them. They're sitting right across from us. I haven't seen them start up again since. They're probably waiting for the next group that we.
So you
have
mean
to kick
if
off.
they've been sitting around getting cold, then so have Denmark? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, I mean, they had to track Denmark down, figure out where these guys were before the match was. That's why we had a little bit of a break. Just go from the coffee shop over here and just start ripping faces.
Looking straight on down.
Yeah, they're kind of like me. That's what I do. I go.
Is that what you do?
I go to the coffee shop in the morning.
And you rip faces.
Get a few coffees. I log on Overwatch and I rip faces.
Damn. All right.
Or I just feed uncontrollably.
It's a two-sided coin, Matt.
And
You know
then
what
I
mean?
cash in on my internet clout so people won't get mad at me in ranked.
That's right. Yeah, you make
Yeah.
sure that you make it hard to tell if you're feeding intentionally or not.
If you
So
guys,
people,
if you guys don't yell at me, I'll let you guys talk the sideshow. It's my big pull.
really? Is that how far we've fallen now, where you are Sideshow's agent? Is that,
I
is that where we are?
know. Chelsea, my wife, she got a message that 2 people dressed up as me and Josh for Halloween. So somebody went in a suit and like a button down
Right.
and a beard for me, which they could have just wore a hoodie. There's no point to buy the suit. And for Josh,
So were they not swole enough to come as Bren, were they?
Yeah, probably not.
Right.
For Josh, they wore a suit, a pineapple button down underneath of it, and then like a bald wig kind of thing with a receding hairline.
Okay, first of all,
Yeah.
Sideshow's not bald. His forehead just looks like an Orisa barrier. Secondly,
It
have you ever
does.
seen him wear a pineapple button down?
No.
I don't really
Maybe
think...
they were trying to be.
No, you know what Sideshow? Maybe, but my hairline's fine, right? Right?
Yeah.
Isn't it?
Yeah, it's okay. Yeah,
I get. It's forehead. It's definitely forehead.
It's definitely moving back a bit.
Oh my God! You can't say that to
I
a
mean,
guy.
it's not going the. It's not getting better.
It's just nor is this conversation. I feel.
So we are waiting for map number 2 between Australia and Denmark. There was a bit of an issue in map number 1, a pause, but we got through it. Denmark was able to win. Don't know if they're looking at that again. Maybe it was a technical thing. Don't know if they're looking at that again before map number 2. Usually we see the map selection graphic when we're about to go into a game. So the fact that we are just sitting here looking at the rosters like you guys leads me to believe we are a little bit away from the game.
Yep. I mean, we'll see what we'll see if Australia can start to bring things back in map number 2. Again, they go into another matchup, Matt, where like on the face of it, it looks like the DPS matchup is like does not favor them. But then we did see Aichu Up have like a fantastic map 3 and 4, even if they didn't have much luck on Paddy's. Here it is. Hybrid's going to be next. Looks like it's going to be King's Road. This is a great map pool, actually. We got, what, Dorado?
Oh, yeah.
Hanamura?
Yo, sign me up for this every day.
You know what?
Nepal, Kings Road, Dorado, Hanamura, Busan.
So you would say, Matt, that you're not a Paris aficionado. Is that what you're getting at?
I love Hanamura. I think
Yeah.
Hanamura is awesome.
It looks darn pretty as
I-
well.
I always like whenever in Paris I think is like just creates the longest games, right? So like when I'm like home and I'm gaming, I'm like, oh, I'll play one more game. And I see Paris, I'm like, oh man, like I am so tired. I'm not gonna be able to play.
It's going to be like a
the
back and
game's gonna be
forth,
super
right?
long,
Big
like
time
6-5,
like a 9-8. I've seen 9-8 recently, I think.
Yeah.
At the professional level. I'm not really sure if I recall who's going to be there. Right, so Denmark come out. No substitutions. Denmark actually do have a sub. Like I said, Naga is there. Australia, though, is just these
Give
6
me
players.
Ryan Zarya. They won't do it, but
No.
yeah, no.
Well, like we talked to Johnny as well. He's like, I've been streaming, I've been playing in sort of close to top 500.
Well, me and Johnny have been playing in open division.
Yes. Yeah. What? You're 2-0 right now, right?
No,
2-0?
we are 4-0. 4-0.
Wait, didn't you forfeit 2 games?
Yeah, we had to forfeit 2 games, but the games that we played were undefeated. So
you played 4 games?
4 and 2, yeah.
Damn. So you're 4 and 2. That's not bad.
Yeah.
That's not bad. I'll be back
We're
next week
tied
to ruin your streak. Don't worry
we're
about
tied
it.
for second or third, I think.
Until we actually play against contenders players, and we'll see.
Look,
We'll see how it goes.
if they want the hands of me and Johnny's Ryan Zarya, they're gonna get it. But this will be Denmark on offense to kick things off. Both teams go with the standard. I also think we talked about how good Denmark's damage dealers are. Having Kellex back there as an Overwatch League support player definitely helps as well in terms of just managing ult economy and shot calling.
Oh, that is not what you want, Australia.
They can't disengage.
No, Unter maybe trying to play a little bit more aggressively, but they can't get back past the choke even if they wanted to now. There's not enough time. Fisher doesn't get quite the charge he would have liked on that rocket punch. Doesn't find the kill as a result. Head first into a rock. Well, I mean, credit for passion. He definitely wanted to take that fight, but the accretion timing was good. Jax is on the cleanup though, and Australia, I mean, I think this is a worrying sign if you're watching from home right now and you're rooting for, the Southern Cross.
The Aussies.
Yeah. Doesn't look good.
But on the other side, Denmark is clean. Like, that was clean. I mean, it obviously helps when Fisher goes in, takes out the Lucio right away, but still, I mean, the teamwork seems to be there for this team. Like, we don't really see that with World Cup that often.
That's right. This roster is kind of stacked, bro. This Denmark
It is.
roster, I'm not gonna lie, man. Like some of the highest flyers in European contenders right here, plus Kellex as well, who, especially in year 1 of the Overwatch League, was got like a ton of accolades for his Mercy and Lucio play specifically. So he's always one to watch out for. I think CKM tried. Yes. CKM tried to go in for the kill, but it looks like he got booped away by Kellex when he tried to go in. And there you go. That's what he offers you, I guess, in the back line.
And because they lose Tung right away, I mean, that's 2 or 3 times he's gone to use his Coalescence, and he's just getting taken out instantly. As you didn't get the use of that throughout the fight, and that is one of the big difference makers in that one. And now, I mean, look, they're going to get close to taking second point here. They'll have Supercharger to push back Australia here. They should be able to do it.
Fisher just checking the high ground a little bit. Drops down to join the rest of his team. The Holt and Meteor Strike a little bit out of sync there for Team Australia. CKM didn't quite get there in time, so unfortunately no cheap kills. Molt, though, gets rid of Punk and Trill, and your front line is dead, man. You are done.
And they end up holding on to their Supercharger during that, and Death Blossom. That may get them around the next corner. That corner that's very difficult to break is... It's a 2-player Gravitic Flux. This is a very fast time from Denmark.
Fisher doesn't need to really look at the high ground now. Shax is occupying that, and with the Death Blossom ready, he can just drop down at his own leisure. And that's why CKM's trying to challenge that. He actually finds the kill. Getting healed up by Tung there. Quite long range is able to provide healing with the Biotic Grasp, and Australia will move up now. Like, you think they'd chase this a little bit more? I guess they're worried about trading. Well, they've done just that already. Maybe they could have just gone in with a bit of aggression. Fisher charges the rocket punch up, knocked back himself, can't follow up with a seismic slam here. Mulf is down, and Australia go for the sound barrier here, even in the absence of a Gravitic Flux. Looks like it's worked out so far, but Denmark just won't go home.
It is a lost fight for them. They're going to have to back out. Australia trying to push forward. They're going to try and gain some more ultimate percentage off of this. But now Denmark can come back. I mean, this is one of the hardest corners to get on King's Row. You get it around that second corner and make it down the alleyway towards the end of the map, you're kind of home free. We see a lot of teams being able to get over the line, especially with how much time Denmark has. It's this corner, it's very difficult to break.
Well, especially if you have the high ground, right? Denmark could have had that, but Shax got picked off by CKM. Speaking of the man himself, he's gone down early in this fight, so a lot of that pick potential was off the table, and I can understand each up looking for a Death Blossom here just to try and even the numbers up, but they'd already lost so much after that seismic slam from Fisher.
Fisher with the cleanup. Shax's gonna go behind enemy lines here. This could be pretty big. You have the Coalescence to keep him up. Death Blossom available. Look how close they're gonna play here.
Oh man. Hunter's down now. It's going to be very tough to break through this one. The payload isn't moving currently. So, yeah, looks like there was some contest there from CKM. Meteor Strike. No rule purchase there. Yeah, CKM tries to get back to his own spawn door. Now it's going to be up to Interrupt to try and stay alive, but the sound barrier means there's no easy kills for Australia's Reaper right now. Fade back from Scaler. He was getting pressured a little bit there. But with Interrupt down, it's a trade for the Doomfist. They both find a kill. Supercharger is still in play, though, for Denmark, and that might provide them an incremental advantage as the fight goes longer. It looks like that is the case. Trill is down. CKM hides in the small room. He gets a sound barrier, so he can play more aggressively now, but that's only going to last so long. And that was great from Kellex, just move him out of the way. While the sound barrier was there, it expires by the time he gets back to the fight, and CKM, again, is as squishy as anyone else on his team.
They're so close to making it over the line. Just more players trickling out of the spawn here for Denmark. The Coalescence is out, and that'll be the map completion for Denmark. Almost 3 minutes in the bank. That is such a fast time there, Mitch, but now, you know, I think, like, looking at it, like, Denmark just has the advantage, like, especially in the Doomfist matchup, I think. Like, you know, we saw CKM in the last match against New Zealand, you know, put up some good performances on the Doom, but I think Fisher's just another level to it, right?
I mean, Fisher has an unbelievable amount of experience.
Yes.
This guy's been around for so... Bro, he was back playing, you know, at a top level in contenders when I was still in Germany. We're talking like 3 years ago. You know, so with that kind of experience, CKM's very young. You know, he was here last year. You know, he competed, of course, for Team Australia, and that for him was obviously his first time really out on the big stage. Like, there is a lot of expectation on that player, a lot on his shoulders. Eat You Up is definitely the more veteran player, but you know, he's on the Reapers. So again, there's not a whole lot you can do if, you know, the enemy Doomfist just wipes your team up.
It's really about the Doom. Like, I feel like your Reaper can only do as much as the Doom creates the space. And obviously, you know, the space is good and created if your Doom is able to get one, stay alive, right? You know, when your Doomfist is going in and just you're trading basically 1-for-1. The team that has the Doomfist alive is going to come out on top in those 1-for-1s. And a lot of times when they do trade, Fisher is still alive, CKM is dropped, and that just opens up more space for Shaxx.
I mean, yeah, it's insane. Fisher has been playing since 2015. Like, and as early as Season 2, he was a 4.3k player. So it wasn't just like he came out of nowhere. Bloke's part of the furniture by this point.
Yeah.
So definitely a mismatch there, you know, potentially in the mental between our Doomfist players here.
This also puts Australia in a tough spot mentally. They know they need a crazy time here.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and it starts with getting an early pick here, right? But how likely is Kellex going to be to serve himself up on a platter for an easy pick? Like, Australia have to find that themselves here. All right, they've got it. Both down. Maybe slightly overextended for him there. And it looked like Fisher was trying to at least equalize to find a 1-for-1. He didn't find the trade. Punk is knocked back, but that's not the target that the Doomfists are really looking for right now. Accretion knocks Shaxx down. He's able to get away with Wraith Walk. No, doesn't escape. Trill catches him. And that's it. Australia find the opening, and you know what, man? Credit to them. We talk about, you know, experience this, experience that, but they played that first fight very patiently, look for an opening, and then they exploit it.
Well, that's what I was worried about, how they could potentially play it. Knowing they're so against the clock, maybe they'll rush, maybe they'll kind of do something that's a little bit uncharacteristic, but no, they played that quite well. So Australia, they will be able to take point. Denmark, they're going to regroup, probably play this choke very aggressively.
Well, they've got the shields for it. Play up around the corner. They can also, you know, put Shaxx very close to that choke in the little library or the bookshop. It's going to be very easy for him to access the backline, especially if Australia tries something like speed boosting in with Hunter. That would mean it'd be very easy for Shaxx just to walk in and access, you know, someone like Tongue or something similar. Interrupt goes down early. CKM can't really stand out in the open right now, so he has to wait on his Rocket Punch cooldown.
You have to wait to get back at full strength too. Like, you need the Reaper's teleport ability to get in here too, right? Like, the Doomfist can go in, create the space. The Reaper TP's behind, and the Reaper's the cleanup guy.
I mean, the eyes are on the clock now with how fast Denmark were. Australia need to find something and find it soon. And Punk, once again, is the man who opens up the account. This time it's on to Shaxx first, and Henningsen is removed by CKM. So great couple kills coming out from Australia. You're getting a lot to work with. The Death Blossom may have been needed there just to try and make sure they could get through this phase of the map quickly enough. They are already bleeding time.
Yeah, I think in the scenario that they're in, you have to invest, right? Because you know you have a difficult portion of the map coming up with completing the second checkpoint, and then the corner I was talking about for the next Now to get around that corner to the home stretch to complete the map, you know you have two very difficult spots to get to, so you have to get to them with an ample amount of time. Also, obviously, some ultimates, and Denmark knows that. They'll hold on and fight here.
I mean, Supercharger pretty clearly signals Australia's intent, although I don't think it was hard to figure out. They want to fight now, but Denmark have a couple of meters where they can break line of sight. Here's Acrobatic Flux now. Sound barrier here for Denmark. Still sat behind the shields pretty comfortably. I mean, Molf's shield lasted for a heck of a lot of that fight. Coalescence is now coming out from both sides. Hunter was hit there by an accretion, and Shax, the Death Blossom, he's found one. And he's got a second getting rid of each up now, and it's clean up pretty much from here. Unless CKM can find Shax specifically, it's going to be tough. There's no Reaper available for Team Australia right now, and that accretion will seal the deal for Denmark.
And if you're a Denmark fan, and if you are the Team Denmark, that is probably the perfect way you could have played that. Everybody dumps all their ultimates in, you come out on top, this bleeds time, right? You have a big advantage in terms of clock, you play the percentages, you play the clock. And now in the next fight, they know how hard this choke is to break. They use a supercharger. They're going to have to just blindly run around the corner into it. You're going to be able to get a fight win around that, barring, you know, CKM doing something crazy on the Doom. And I think Denmark in a good spot. Yeah, you can
bounced off
skate
the
all the way across. Yeah.
Clever stuff from CKM. At least gets him on the high ground here without having to use too many other abilities. 225. Denmark, 253 after finishing, so Australia had to get their skates and are not just meaning pick Lucio. I mean, they don't want to deal with a supercharger. Denmark were able to do the same thing. Problem is, Australia are the ones that are against the clock. Denmark just disengaged.
Fisher way closer to that Meteor Strike, and they've been better at coordinating the halts with the Meteor Strikes too, so watch out for that.
Shax has the flank covered. Henningsen got knocked into the Gravitic Flux AoE by the looks of things. Hunter's down again. They lost to Lucio, who was close to a sound barrier. Would have gone a long way in this fight, but Australia again.
Oh, what?
Okay, why are they committing Coalescence to this fight? This is interesting. Fisher's going to try and go for a Meteor Strike, and he only 2 health, but he gets that damage back in shielding. And now he can commit again to the fight. Quickly healed up by Scalar and thrust back into the churning massive players. That Coalescence from Australia did not hit the mark.
I mean, they did it to try and force out the Coalescence from Scalar and Meteor Strike from Fisher, so they did trade 1 for 2, but Coalescence is really powerful right now. And now, I mean, both teams at Sound Barrier to block out the Gravitic Flux, way more closer than Punk. It is all looking in favor of Denmark here with about a minute to go on the clock.
And Denmark don't really have to overextend here. They don't have to do anything except wait. Shax is playing the flank and the high ground, so he's just rotating between here, and as soon as Australia commit, he knows he just waltzes in the back line, takes a kill here or there, and then it's over. But Etrup's able to get rid of Fisher early on and punk that accretion on Kellex. That is not easy to hit. They catch the Lucio real quick. They have to go for a couple ultimates here, Matt, but what other choice do they have? They need to get this map done.
And they will be able to take the second checkpoint here. Just a short second. They'll get the time extension to complete the map. But I mean, at best, they're going to be like almost 2 minutes behind Denmark.
If they could just finish the map, turn it around to some crazy full hold on point A, they can do it. Shax already gets rid of CKM though now, and that supercharger gets burnt down pretty darn quickly, especially with Coalescence in play. Can't protect your bongo against that. Shax, yep, that was definitely a Death Blossom, and I think Unto knew it, but the boot back wasn't enough to stop Shax from getting right on in.
And this is the fights that you needed to take if you're Denmark, and the positioning is perfect. I believe, just the experience that they have, right? With Kellex knowing the map, knowing the time scenarios, right? How many Overwatch League matches has this guy played in now? I mean, it's been 2 years of with the playoffs as well. It's
did he ever sit on the bench? Did he ever sit on the bench for Uprising?
Maybe a little bit this year. But
still, he's definitely been around. Wow, that is quite a large rising uppercut there. Catches 4, but Australia can't capitalize. Denmark just back around the corner. Meteor Strike, there it is, and that was backed up with that Orisa play. Nicely done. Shax also was able to find a kill based on Henningsen's halt, and the synergy's pre-existing here on Denmark. They're really starting to come to light now.
But even if you lose this fight, if you're Denmark, look at where their card is. they will respawn and they will get the fight at that corner that Shaxx is at right now. And if you win that one, the game's over. Even if you lose that one, you get out stalled. Like, you're in a great position to just prevent Australia from extending the map as it is.
No need to overextend again if you're Denmark. It's all against Australia. CKM gets nothing with that meteor strike. Henningsen stepped ahead of his shield, so he wasn't even affected by the AoE. But Australia, again, just when it seems like it's over, they come alive, and CKM gets rid of them off to start the fight. A little bit of a stagger on Kellex, and it's just as well they killed the Lucio last, actually, because Denmark probably want that speed to get them onto the point. Now Australia's set up. Ichu up entrenches himself here on the point.
Supercharger sound barrier available for Denmark here as they come out. They want to let the payload get a little bit closer so they can't kite the supercharger.
Ichu up, just playing outside of Henningsen's shield. He needs to be careful. That could have been a dangerous halt. Rocket punch, Fisher. No connection. A lot of health to work with, though. That sound barrier goes a long way in a fight like this, and it's a good trade. Fisher gets rid of Tongue. Henningsen is down, but now Fisher able to play late in the fight here after the meteor strike and removes CKM immediately. That'll be it. Australia have done their dash on King's Row, and they fall short. Denmark hold them off with plenty of time to spare.
Denmark has been dominant. I mean, they lose one map in their previous series. They come in here playing against Australia. A little bit cold because they've been on a break for a while, but they do not look like they have been a team that's been sitting around for a while. I mean, this looks like a team that's on fire. I mean, they'll move their map count up to 5-1 at this point, potentially to get through the bracket with a 6-1 map count. I think a lot of teams would be start to worry a little bit about seeing Denmark. Yeah,
definitely even our teams that have auto qualified into our final days. Denmark, I think it's quite evident. People throw this word around a lot. Yeah. It's not always correct, but I think the fact that they're able to get a lot of value for very little investment in terms of ultimates speaks a lot to their level of coordination. And we're talking especially about Henningsen as well, as well, you know, one of the greener players on this roster, right, coming into HSL and sort of being relatively new even to that scene himself, proved himself time and time again in Europe and internationally, even if they struggled. I mean, but what they did domestically in contenders was quite ridiculous. What HSL did, that's another story. He setting up a lot of those plays with halts. You know, like the fact that you don't even have to put a meteor strike combo with it.
Seismic slam. Yep. Like, I mean, just the damage output. Like,
what we've seen Trill do with Australia is definitely more so to try and achieve picks with this halt, right? Like, you think back to Paris in their previous series, right? They're using a little bit more as like, can we on attack? Can we just
halt punch?
Exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, that is a different map type as well, but Denmark are getting a little bit more out of that intersection between their DPSs and the Orisa specifically. I think Punk is incredibly good on Sigma though. He looked very, very, very good. I mean,
yeah, I've been impressed with him.
I said Australia comes in on attack, and I'm thinking, well, they need to find a pick somehow because obviously Unter sort of served himself up to Denmark when Australia were defending. I thought, how are Australia going to find a first pick? And then, well, it happened. I mean,
Scalar and Kellex have done such a better job at avoiding the Doomfist and early pickoffs. I mean, we've seen a few times now where the supports of Australia, the first player is dead in a lot of key fights where they have ultimates. And you're not going to win consistently if that happens. I mean, it's you see a lot of these fights going heavily in the favor of Denmark. At that time, you know, Australia, they did take point A, they made a good push, took point B, but you never got the sense that they were going to run through Denmark. Like, Denmark always had control of the map from start to finish.
I mean, in the amount of times, even though they were defending close to that checkpoint B, right, with payloads sort of rolling in, we see the supercharger from Trill, right? They want to fight. But Denmark are like, well, that is incredibly telegraphed. So Denmark know that they do need to contest at some point, but they know they have enough time to back around the corner, wait out most of that supercharger, and then push into line of sight with fresh shields and start off a fight, knowing that, I mean, they've been able to disengage and still, you know, hold off just outside of the foundry.
You just don't seem panicked or phased by just about anything. Like, and it's a shame for Australia because you have to dump so many ultimates in to get the payload moving, but that whole sequence is caused by how poor your defense was, right?
Yep.
And that's just a really, I guess if you're an Australian fan, you know, an Australian player, or you know, you're really, really upset seeing that.
What happened to you being Australian as well, Matt? Oh, I see. Since the start, yeah, I see. You're such a fair weather fan, bro.
I believe the
fair
word
weather
is
citizen.
Front runner.
Yes, as soon as Australia start to flounder, Matt is already is off the boat.
Update on one other match, the only other match I can actually see. Italy, Japan. That is a bracket C semifinal game. Italy up 2-1 going into Paris. So that one just kicked off.
And that could go either way. That could be another map 5 over there. That's on twitch.tv/play Overwatch.
Yep.
If you want to watch that, that's Brennan Sideshow on the call.
And Tayo on
Yes!
Japan.
I know,
phenomenal
bro.
player, dude.
I mean,
I wish McCree was in the meta, dude. Tayo
yes.
McCree,
I honestly, I had hopes of, I mean, he almost dismantled Australia in Sydney single-handedly. It was brutal.
Guy's
yeah, I mean,
filthy, dude.
You know, because he was studying, I think, so he took a sort of step back from competitive Overwatch. I know in Japan there were a few sort of teams that are playing. I don't think many of them are in Pacific contenders, though. I know Detonation focused me. The DFM had a team for a little while, but I would say that you know, Japan. That's a tough opponent for them to go up against Italy, especially now that Italy's scene has developed so much more with their involvement in contenders, and now the contenders scene sort of expanding in its own way. I mean, it used to be Carnifex would come in and just try and carry them because he had like tons of FPS experience in the past, and he was like a really solid Overwatch player.
It's funny to think back to the first like World Cups and how things have developed so much. Remember the first Overwatch World Cup we did, where I think,
you were
like,
casting with
it was,
ZP, I was casting with D-Man.
and then you had like crazy teams, right? Like USA had like Hawk. No, USA had a Stir. Canada had Hawk. Seagull played for USA. What was it, like Seagull Gods? You had a Stir on there.
I mean,
Messer, right?
Yeah. Yeah, well, I think Adam was on that team as well, I want to say.
Adam, I think.
Yeah, Adam Messer on that team. But the Canadian team, there was like some players that I'd never even heard of as well. Like that. I mean, Pokelols was on that team, bro.
Poke was on that team.
Bro.
The first year was wild. It was wild. But we've evolved since then a little bit.
Would you say?
Huck was the main tank for Canada, you remember?
That was good.
And they found that guy. They found a guy from the ladder.
Average Jonas? Average Jonas.
Yeah, they found a guy from the ladder that they just decided to fly out because they didn't know anybody. So
and was he playing support? I think. I mean, well, we could get lost in this reminiscing for ages. That's when Mickey first appeared. That's when we first got to see him. Man. Anyway, map number 3 here in this bracket A final is going to be Dorado. And while all that glitters may not be gold, Australia are still looking for a chance to get into this series. Right now, they've been shut out because Denmark looking ice cold, baby.
Denmark has a good far as well with Fissure, right? I mean, we'll see what Denmark decides to run on offense. Do you stay with like just the standard like Reaper Doom here if you're Denmark? Do you try and get a little, I don't know, call it fancy and play like with the Pharah? Seems Australia on defense, they're gonna go for it. They're gonna go Pharah Widow on D. They have to think that Denmark's gonna be running the Pharah.
Or they think that Denmark will be going potentially with the Roadhog, right? Like you take Widow against single shield, like there is a world where she can get value. Now though, I'm not so sure. Like it's gonna be pretty rough.
If he does not get a kill on the Pharah instantly, the Pharah is going to switch. Yep, already. They're going to play Widow May.
Oh, man. All right, let's go. The Widow v Widow here at map number 3. And come on, Jax. Well, I guess there is a shield. Sleep Dart connected there, and Ichirat was able to find the headshot on Fissure.
Yeah, the halt, then the headshot.
Oh, we get to see some Ana from Tongue. That's nice. They just had to be careful because Gravitic Flux does kind of ruin them, Australia, as we discussed before, but this Widow is doing work.
So we'll see. Denmark changes their course of attack. They could decide to just ditch the payload and go lower, go around, right? I mean, that's a strategy that they could
employ.
Check this out.
Okay, so yeah, they may. Okay, they got a Sleep Dart. Another connection from Tongue. Okay, a lot of damage here for CKM. He's getting a ton of value. Look at Denmark's health bars constantly being chunked down. Shax, yeah, he's just trying to get out of the sun. Just can't handle the heat. Here it is. CKM's barrage looks pretty darn good if you ask me. Even if you didn't, I'm going to tell you. Australia there, but happy to cycle through their ults for the time being, and you saw that Ichirat also had that infra sight, so they could make sure they weren't going to get flanked by a
they did have to use all those because they did split Trill off. Trill ended up in a really tough spot. They're able to keep him alive, but got a little bit dangerous there. The main tank of Australia a little bit further out of position.
So no wholesale changes for Denmark despite their early struggles here. Australia know they need to hold forward to give themselves a really good shot. Fish is already out of the picture. That May wall is so important to have, especially in this part of the map. But the payload has been allowed to move through the choke, and someone from Australia has to answer this threat. CKM is probably looking to harass Henningsen down, and he's forced him into that left side room. But without Molf, I don't think that Denmark have much to run with here.
We haven't even, I'm not even sure we've seen a kill from Denmark yet. Denmark's just getting goose-egged.
Oh, you're right. I think you're exactly right. Yep.
They're just getting goose-egged by Australia.
There's the connection.
Yeah, solo whole hog them, that's what I would do.
Just to send a message. I'll hog the corpse, in fact.
Exactly. We don't see enough solo ultimates here in the...
Yeah, you know, everyone's tactical crouch. I'm like, bro, that's so easy to do. Like, you don't lose anything by hitting control multiple times while standing around an enemy. I want you to flex clout so hard that you had to use an ultimate
get like
to
a
do
solo Dragon Blade out.
And then you really mean it, you know?
Really gets the opponent.
Costs you nothing to tactical crouch. That's all I'm saying. Shaxx back to the Widow now. This time he's actually, looks like he's going to run with it. Hard to find CKM though. He's always out of line of sight some way or another, but that looks like it was a bad beat when it came down with the barrage. CKM was not able to find the kill, and Henningsen just blew him up. The coalescence must have helped from Scalar. Australia now getting forced back eventually, and I mean, Matt, there is a world where Shaxx can stay on this Widow. I'd be a little surprised if he chose to do that, but...
Look, you can control the
it.
high ground with it. If IE Chubb's going to do it, you can stay on it.
No, Shaxx, please!
As soon as he sees the switch, they're going to swap.
Oh, I mean,
he goes Reaper.
He doesn't see the switch, but he assumes, obviously, that
they play
Australia
Reaper.
go.
May we are in another pause. So the last pause, we were not able to figure out what was going on. This pause.
Yeah, I think Ichiwat went back to spawn and realized he couldn't switch to McCree, and he just he had to call a pause. You know,
this pause, I'm probably gonna assume the same. We probably won't really know what's going on. We will have to wait until we just either get back in the game or we hear word from somebody that we should go to break. So that was Denmark.
Okay, Matt, who's going to tell us to go to a break? Who's going to do that?
Actually, that would that's a very good point, because the people telling us to go to break would be us. So that would be at our sole discretion whether to go to break or not. We've had super unlucky though. Like we throw in a break, and you know sometimes we're not in the break and we're still here. Or we throw it a break and then the game starts right away. And they're like, hey, where'd you all go? And I'm like, I just went outside. The game ended. They're like, nah, there's another game going on. We have to run back. So I feel like the lesser of two evils is just talking over this card and having people listen to us.
Well, we could do that. That's fine. If everyone is ready for this. Also, that's an interesting pair of pants. That looks like Harley Quinn pants.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, the red ones?
Yeah.
Nah, maybe it's just the way I was about to say maybe it was the way it was photographed, but I don't know how you would photograph
what are you talking
black pants to potentially show up red.
Hey, hey, I've got
look,
a request
I am not a photographer, okay?
Hey, I've got a request for GFX. Yeah, make me look like a court jester, thanks. Yeah.
I have never been to one of our media days. I know limited amounts of Photoshop. I don't know if that's possible.
Listen,
Zoe is laughing hysterically. Clearly, I am inaccurate with my claim that could have been.
I've never heard of that before. Yo, he needs his fashion drip to be repped on stream, you know what I mean? Like, all right. I'm like, well, just put your Yeezys on your hands and you just hold them up in the air. They can't really get your feet in the shot, you know? People gotta know. I have no idea what kind of heat these guys.
It is funny. It is.
Where's
funny.
the crepe check?
I go for like I'll wear hoodies and stuff on stream, but I always make sure my sneakers are awesome. And it's the one thing that nobody ever sees. So I kind of feel bummed out about it.
Yeah, I mean,
this doesn't help me at all with feeling better about this. But Denmark, Australia, what a game! What a game it's been. We are in a pause right now. Eventually going back into the game at some point.
Let's try and recap a little bit there, because maybe you've only joined us while we have this screen up and you're probably wondering what went on. Australia actually play Widowmaker on defense on Dorado with the Farah Mercy pick, which honestly. Look, if you're playing Dorado, like I think you're pretty happy, Matt, with shaving off 2 minutes using a comp like that. You're gonna switch back to
without a doubt
to Reaper Doomfist.
You can go way worse.
Yep.
I mean, it can go way worse. We're back.
Excitement building here, but Denmark are very close to pretty much taking out this entire bracket A, Matt, and solidifying their spot in tomorrow's matches.
Maybe we can find out where. Because they do have set spots in the actual groups that they would go into.
That's right.
So we'll try and get a confirmation. Maybe not right directly at the end of this match, but after where Denmark or Australia, whoever were to win this series, goes.
Well, we saw Fisher tried to accost Trill there, but he just throws on the Fortify and says, okay, I'll stand my ground. Actually force Fisher to use his Ice Wall. Blizzard, that placement is pretty darn good. He uses it as soon as he comes out of his Ice Block. And, oh, man. Everyone gets hit by that. At least 3 players. I know Punk and Trill were definitely caught in that one. Solid Blizzard, and Australia had no point. They were already committed to the fight. You can't step out of the Blizzard at that point.
And now Denmark comes in, able to get extremely close to taking the second point. Probably another fight from Australia, but they have 2 support ults to get through it. Great spot here for Denmark to make up some of that lost time.
Shax here. I mean, someone's going to do something about this man. Shax hears the sound cue of Ichup teleporting in behind him, but he was a little bit too far away from to do any damage. Scalar is removed. CKM's in a great spot, but he needs to intervene pretty soon. Fine. Looking comfortable for Australia as they clean it up. By the way, yeah, I mean, you're reading the tweet now as well. I thought I'd bring it up. It was AKTM's McCree. It was on this very map against Australia in Sydney back in 2017. It was he was crazy. He didn't make the cut this year though. So what's going on? What's going on?
They use Scalar ends up using his coalescence, but they are not able to take it. It was a clean sweep there from Australia. They hold on to sound barrier. Killix has been really holding on to those for every Gravitic Flux, not using them outside of that whatsoever. So
Yeah, I feel like if you're Lucio, you know, it's your responsibility to make sure a Gravitic Flux doesn't end the fight for your team, right? Like you just, you know, you need to take care of it. Yeah, it's like you have one job, right? You need to take care of that at the very least. Meteor strike for CKM. He was very low, so he got to pull out.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think he's doing it defensively. I think he just went to his own back line. Needed to be oh, this is scary! Shax barrels into the back line and gets himself 3 with the Death Blossom, and Australia were already looking worse for wear before he just hurled himself into their midst.
Dude, Malf has been hitting every accretion on the CKM when he comes in. That time, he comes in with a Seismic Slam, hits the accretion in midair, forces out that Meteor Strike. Not able to get anything with that Meteor Strike, just able to keep himself alive, but still, it's not good enough. Shax goes flying in the air like a helicopter, and the Death Blossom just starts mowing people down. Well, he's dead. They'll have to back down.
Yeah. So it looks like he got caught out there just by a halt. So Denmark don't have a lot of time to work with. I mean, we talked about how Australia's unconventional approach on that first stretch of Dorado, you know, shaved a couple minutes off the clock, and that now manifests here, where Denmark, this is only their second fight on this last phase of the map, and they're down to 1 minute and 20 seconds. So that's an investment that Australia made early on that's paying off. Let's see if they can finish the job, though. Well, Jackson Fisher are dead, so they're looking good.
Supercharger and Coalescence used by Australia to get that one done, so a lot of extra damage there as Denmark regroup back at the spawn. No support ults to work with. They will have their Gravitic Flux with no sound barrier on the other side. So can both make it count again. He's been doing a good job with them this far.
I think Australia will try and split a little bit between high and low ground there to avoid something like that. I mean, CKM can't get caught in the Gravitic Flux. That's a given. He goes in early. Meteor strike, so he's just trying to get out as quickly as he possibly can. He's not found any connections on those rocket punches though, Matt, so he's in a bit of trouble. Fisher now's the one. He's going to try and combo with the Gravitic Flux, and yeah, it works, Matt. You mentioned that Molp had that online. There was no sound barrier to counter it, and it looks perfect.
Now you give yourself a chance now. I mean, Denmark gives himself a chance to complete the map. 2 support ults and a supercharger may be enough to get it done. As now Australia, you know, they went from a position of power to now potentially seeing Denmark cross the finish line.
Yeah, I guess riches to rags for Australia, and now they're going to try and at least keep Denmark from finishing the map. Each gets to the back line, but the healing, I mean, Tung's trying to keep alive with like a super long-range Coalescence. Well, it works. The sound barrier there as well. Australia have to layer their support ultimates, but it's the last fight, so you can't fault them for it. Trill gets caught by an accretion. Is it Death Blossom going to be the answer? It doesn't look like it. Ichup was able to fight it, but Punk's there. Gravitic Flux saves the day, and Australia keep Denmark from their shores.
And now Australia knows where they need to get to in terms of payload progress to continue this series. And not just this series, their BlizzCon. I mean, before the doors even open, they could be gone. You know, crazy to think about. But Denmark, man, this roster's so stacked. They've looked so clean in this matchup.
This is the kind of team that should be nipping at the heels of like quarterfinal berth
I would
in this
say
kind of
so.
World Cup. Yeah.
Yeah, speaking of Denmark, yeah.
Yes. Yes. I'm not that biased. Come on, Matt. Yeah, I think so. Like, think about teams like, France is a little bit of a different look this year. They obviously are pretty more safely through. Canada looks incredibly strong. So does China looks as strong as that they've been in the World Cup. But I absolutely think like teams like Denmark should be, nipping at their heels and looking for
looking at it, I think looking at it with Johnny and Josh the other day, we kind of pegged like USA, South Korea, China as like your kind of top 3 in terms of how that's gonna pan out within the top 5. I kind of had France a little bit lower in that 5. I think you could make a case there are some even in the prelims, have to play through that could challenge France potentially.
Yep.
So.
Okay, so
Denmark is a team I think could challenge a team that like get into the top 8.
Okay, so I don't usually like framing questions this way, but I'm kind of curious, and this certainly speaks well of Denmark. Is there a weakness that you've seen from them so far in this series that's exploitable? I mean, they might have 2 3-0s under their belt, like all said and done.
I don't think there's a weakness. What I want to know is, can they play something other than the double shield Moira Lucio Reaper made Doom combo?
Well, Shaxx is an incredible Sombra, right? They could have a Sombra Doom.
I've seen him play it in the Overwatch League. I've seen obviously Fisher play those other heroes as well. Can they synergize that as good as they've done this? That's what I would like to see.
If they're going to make it into those finals, then I guess they're going to need a couple more looks.
At least a pocket look, right? Like a pocket Farah on a map like a Paris or a Paris A or something like.
Oh, damn! CKM, that's 4 with the barrage. Finally, Australia are able to break through. Now, look, it is crazy. It's a bunch of kills, but the fact is that Denmark were playing inside that one room. They didn't have, an ability to sort of negate that damage from CKM. So Denmark wanted to play close. They'll get another fight here. If CKM gets it like an early frag, he timed that really well because, if he can get an early frag here, then Australia could pretty much get straight through.
Coalescence here for Denmark as well, though. I mean, you can use this pretty freely here coming up in the next fight. Nothing you're really worried about, but that'll be Shaxx falling as the Wheelmaker now out of the equation.
CKM just shrugs off the shackles. The Widow kept him out of, playing aggressively. But now that he's gotten rid of it, he can do this. He can just get right up there and play from a vertical angle, just rain rockets down without worrying about getting his head shot off by the Widow. And Moth goes down, gets thrown right into the dirt. CKM, he wants people to play in that side room. He hears now. He just heard that Shaxx is back, so he looks...
Shaxx got the Mercy.
Yeah. And CKM knows where Shaxx is, but he doesn't really want to challenge him. It's a little dangerous. He went for the barrage. Solo barrage on the Widow, that's fair enough, but he'd already lost the Mercy.
I mean, they're switching. They're not going to stay on it. That's probably why. Now that they see Widow Doom, they end up losing that fight. Yep, here come the switches. So CKM will go to Doom. Do you keep the Hanzo for Dragon?
No. I don't think... Okay, well, let's think about it. Lucio gets away from Dragon. Moira fades out of it. I mean, Fisher just rocket punches away. Shaxx
They go back to Farah now. So maybe they go back to Farah because they want to get a use of the Dragon. So you may as well say Farah Mercy for all those synergies, right? And then if you don't get anything with the Dragon, then reset everybody. But I don't know. It's risky.
And you're not very mobile, even if you have the dash in midair. Ichiup's trying to struggle to get a decent spot here. Dragon Strike came through, no kills on that, but Ichiup was able to find Shaxx after the fact, and Henningsen's been removed by CKM. Payload not moving right now, so it's still contested, but Fisher is entirely zoned out. He actually managed to get Ichiup there, but that's easily resurrected.
Wolf is on Wrecking Ball. He did it to try and get back for the previous point, but he's actually able to pick up one there. So the payload moving in, you see the ball now trying to go to contest.
CKM needs another early kill. Ideally, he wants to get Shaxx before Shaxx can set up, and, well, he almost got him there. Shaxx having to play safe around the corner. A glancing blow, he connects with CKM. This one is tight, and Shaxx comes out with on top. That is huge. Now, he waits for the health pack. He'll push back into position. Ichiup has to be careful. I mean, he's quite, unsafe against Shaxx, who can just sit here and play around this statue. A big kill, and CKM's going to the Tracer now, Matt.
Fisher comes back on Tracer just to try and get back in. That's a minefield that comes down here. They're trying to keep Henningsen up. They're going to be able to do it.
Australia's last chance to try and stay in the World Cup for 2019. They had to get this checkpoint, but it's not looking good. Drill falls afoul of the poison mine, and Shax is happy to hardscope head-to-head with that Tracer. And Fisher now as well is going to be able to work around the sides. No one's going to get past Denmark right now, at least not Australia, and their BlizzCon run ends here. Denmark have done it, and they will take their group. This is the final match. They're going to move on.
Yeah, Denmark will be the winners of Bracket A. Man, they put together a blistering performance through the bracket. 6-1 map count there. Being able to 3-0 Australia. As I think Denmark looks to be a big player tomorrow. I think Denmark can definitely make a case. If Ast pointed to me, he's like nodding his head like, yeah, you're right. Denmark, I think, can definitely make a run for the top 8.
Matt, they did the very same thing in Incheon last year when they were in South Korea. They looked very, very good. And expectations for this team are always higher. The issue is sometimes they've sort of faltered before those important matches. But as it stands, Australia, they're going to walk home, much like, well, not going to walk home. It's a long way to go.
Oh, they're going to. I mean, I would hope Australia hangs out. I mean, we still got a lot to do here at BlizzCon.
But both them and New Zealand out of the competition. Tough one for oceanic fans of esports. But it was a tough group to get through. Chinese Taipei had already fallen to Denmark, and Australia also in that same fashion. So after winning a map 5, Aussies will go home. So Denmark have won out in bracket.
Bracket A is done. For everybody wondering, bracket A is complete. We will now be moving over to bracket D. So we'll be doing a quarterfinal. That'll be Hong Kong against Paraguay. The winner of that, I believe, will play Germany. That's why that's TBD. So we will cover that match as well. I do not know which stream will be the one that covers the bracket D final. Clearly, it will not be us.
No, it won't be. So, but that bracket, Matt, features Hong Kong, Paraguay, Germany's in there, Russia's in there, Latvia, I believe.
Russia. I mean, they're going to be
and Mexico.
Russia's going to be a tough team too.
Absolutely. I mean,
Shadowburn, right? Some real strong players.
But outside of that, outside of that Russian team, there's a chance for some other teams to make showings there. But only one team gets to win the bracket.
Yeah.
And that one looks like it's pretty comfortable. I mean, Russia are unlucky to sort of not get auto-seeded in based on they had a bit of a weaker positioning, final placing last year.
Oh yeah, where did they? Because they finished what? They finished second year 1, correct?
Yes. Well, they played against.
They played second. They played South Korea.
South Korea in the final.
That's when Shadowburn was just going crazy with nanoblades for like a whole week.
So I hope, look, I hope you guys so far, we're not seeing Twitch chat, unfortunately, so sorry guys, we can't see, we can't see you on Twitter. We're doing a bit of reminiscing today. It's a bit more of a casual feel. We're having a little bit of fun with a celebration of international talent here at BlizzCon. We'll be back, of course, with Hong Kong versus Paraguay in just a moment. But hey, if you want to hit us up, you can do that obviously on Twitter as well. And
promo the Twitters.
Any stories that you want us to cover, we can definitely do that. But in the meantime, we're going to take a quick break, and when we return, Hong Kong goes up against Paraguay as Bracket D moves into its quarterfinal stage.
The 2019 Overwatch World Cup is brought to you by T-Mobile. Their newest signal goes farther than ever, and it's built 5G ready. Omen, the official PC and display of the Overwatch World Cup. And by Coca-Cola, the official refreshment of the Overwatch World Cup.
Il arrive pour le deuxième point, mais ils peuvent encore passer. C'est fait! Le double kill à domicile!
Last 2 years, represent France is a huge honor for us.
Là où personne ne nous voit.
When esport was recognized in US or in Korea, it wasn't in France.
Unbelievable!
3 now for Sue!
It's not representing a team, it's representing a nation, and there's a ton of people watching you because they are French and they want us to win.